information found that as many as 90% of the intended targets were not of the people killed were not the intended targets?
Yeah, I mean, I think the piece that if people are sort of thinking about what the president said yesterday and sort of further extending the the longest war in American history to a point where we don't actually see any end in sight. Ryan Devereaux's piece on manhunting in the Hindu Kush is incredible. It looks at a JSOC campaign called Operation Haymaker. And one of the sort of, among many sort of amazing revelations in it, is that JSOC claims to be like meticulously, surgically hunting down and killing leaders of Al-Qaeda, leaders of the Taliban, and in one 5-month period in Afghanistan, where they have all the resources, they have the surveillance technology, they have informants on the ground, they have ability to do night raids, to do after-action investigations, that 88% of the people that they killed in mostly drone strikes, but some other strikes as well, were not the intended target of the strikes. Now, what does that mean? It could mean that they killed the Taliban sub-commander and a bunch of other Taliban people. And so they say, well, okay, we were targeting this one guy, but these people also were bad. But it could also be that they were targeting someone because he had so-called Arab features. And we see that in the documents, they describe Arab features, that they're taller than everyone else. Sean Naylor, who's a great investigative journalist with deep ties in the military, in his new book that he wrote, he details this story of how they struck a target because he was taller than the other people around them, and they thought that that meant that he was sort of an Arab or a foreign fighter, and it turned out that he was of average size and that the people around him were children.
Finally, before we go to break,
them all, with the exception of, I think, one survivor.
Before we go to break, your source, this second Edward Snowden, who is this person?
Well, do you want to give me your PIN to your ATM card? I mean, look, this is a very brave whistleblower, and this administration has been relentless in its war against whistleblowers. And I mean, Chelsea Manning is rotting right now in a prison cell for exposing U.S. war crimes. Edward Snowden is in exile. Thomas Drake and Bill Binney, were smeared in public and had their reputations ruined. Jeffrey Sterling is in prison right now. Our source is an incredibly principled, brave individual, and I worry because the government this government has been relentless in its pursuit of people of conscience who blow the whistle and has characterized them as traitors and spies, and in the process has criminalized the ability to do independent journalism that is meant to hold them accountable, the government accountable, without fear that your sources, or in some cases the journalists themselves, are going to be put in the crosshairs of the so-called justice system.
Well, your source for the article, the whistleblower, spoke out against the drone program, saying, quote, "This outrageous explosion of watch listing, of monitoring people and racking and stacking them on lists, assigning them numbers, assigning them baseball cards, assigning them death sentences without notice on a worldwide battlefield, it was, the very first instance, wrong. We're allowing this to happen, and by we, I mean every American citizen who has access to this information now but continues to do nothing about it."
Yeah, I mean, this is, the point, too, is, like, where is Congress in all of this? Where are if this is the most transparent administration in history, especially coming off of the abuses and the torture and everything that marked the Bush administration, I mean, wouldn't the most transparent administration in history actually be a whistleblowing administration? I mean, wouldn't they sort of say, hey, all of this is really messed up. It's against what we claim are our core values. Instead, we see it's like Edward Snowden, an analyst, Chelsea Manning, a private. I mean, when are we going to have anyone of significant public importance and it's visible that actually is going to be about the business of transparency? Why does it have to come from whistleblowers?